So the boss of theatre chain View has slammed Imax and Netflix, mainly Netflix, over Greta Gerwig's Narnia deal. It risks, quote, undermining the theatrical business. This is an exclusive to Variety. I'm a little bit old on this, actually, 3 days old, but it's still worth covering because it's kind of in my wheelhouse. I've been talking about streaming and the movie business and how, the streaming wars will... The push from movie studios to enter into streaming has cannibalized their own profits and thus is unsustainable because there's always a market cap, which they can't quite, they apparently didn't realize that there was a market gap, which is dumb, but okay. But interestingly, Netflix is the king, the king of the streaming wars, right? Like they won it. And I'm a massive proponent of the theatrical experience. I want theatres to stay around. Like I actually really quite like going to the movie theatre. I'm a bit old-fashioned that way. You can tell from the white hair in my beard. I'm a bit old like that, I guess. But I like the theatres, and I think it's a shame that they have been squeezed of late, not only by streaming, but also just the terrible decisions that movie executives have made. So anyway, let's take a look, because this is interesting. Hit subscribe if you enjoy videos like this and you're new here. So the founder and CEO of View Entertainment, which is the largest privately owned cinema operator in Europe, has written a public letter attacking the controversial deal Imax signed with Netflix, giving Greta Gerwig's upcoming Narnia an exclusive 2-week theatrical run on its screens. What's interesting about this is the public letter, to be honest. The founder and CEO of the biggest private cinema operator in Europe is like, yeah, I'm just going to go after IMAX because this is ridiculous and absurd. So I think that's interesting, the fact that they're doing it publicly, because it says to me, what did they say behind closed doors that failed? Public stuff tends to be like the last resort. So while the deal, first announced in January, led to reports of significant discontent from within the exhibition industry, the letter from Tim Richards, shared exclusively with Variety, marks the first time it's been expressed formally. And IMAX, so it's interesting. A lot of the whole industry is symbiotic, right? The whole movie industry is an element of symbiosis. Movie studios thought that they could circumvent the theatrical experience by having streaming. They soon learned, by having their own streaming platforms, they soon learned that there's a market cap, and spending $200 million on a movie for it to then stream for free to not a lot of people is really dumb. They soon learned that they couldn't do that. In fact, they soon learned that is a false economy. Theatres need movie studios. Movie studios need theatres. They're symbiotically connected. And they seem to have all forgotten that, which is really bizarre. And IMAX needs movie theatres. Like they need movie theatres. So in the letter, Richards asserts that both audiences and the industry itself will lose out from the deal, and warns that IMAX CEO Richard Gelfond's claim that he's looking to secure further exclusivity arrangements will be even more damaging. So he said this: it risks undermining the very ecosystem that makes theatrical success possible. He said, noting that Gerwig's Barbie managed to achieve its phenomenal box office success without a release on IMAX, which he also claimed was no longer the most technically advanced premium large format. Richards also referenced the nuclear option raised by Gelfond to ensure his Narnia deal remained in place. This is understood to be a way of legally enforcing theatres to show Narnia on their IMAX screens. The industry should never try to convince audiences that there is only one way to enjoy a great film, he concluded. So here's the whole letter, right? And I think there's a lot of truth in this. IMAX is proudly promoting its deal to screen the Chronicles of Narnia, Greta Gerwig's highly anticipated first feature film since Barbie. Despite it being a Netflix production released under an unusual 2+2 model, just 2 weeks in IMAX theatres, followed by 2 dark weeks before being released to Netflix subscribers at home. As a result, Narnia will not be watched by audiences on 99% of cinema screens worldwide. It will only play on Imax screens owned by operators willing to break established theatrical release windows. Those who choose to respect the established theatrical release window have been threatened by Imax with a nuclear option if they do not play it. So the outcome, Imax and Netflix may enjoy a short-term gain, but the industry and audiences around the world will lose millions. Millions of families who would love to watch Narnia at a theatre will be needlessly deprived of the opportunity. All other premium large formats, including Dolby Cinemas, Cinemax XD screens, and others that consistently outgross IMAX screens. It's like a nice little dig there, isn't it? Will also be unable to show Narnia. IMAX has not only agreed to this restrictive model, but appears to be encouraging other filmmakers to follow suit. In doing so, it risks undermining the very ecosystem that makes theatrical success possible. IMAX is one of many PLF options available to audiences globally. With less than 1% of screens worldwide, it is not singularly critical to the launch or success of any film, as proven by Barbie, which was not released in IMAX, yet went on to gross $1.5 billion and play theatrically around the world for several months. As Greta Gerwig stated, in my heart of hearts, I want audiences to see my movie in Dolby Vision, with a Dolby Atmos mix, because to me, that's the way I've most felt like, that's my movie. Projection and sound technologies have evolved dramatically in recent years. Dolby, Christie, and Barco's new HDR projectors all deliver market-leading images, while Dolby Atmos and its 64-channel immersive sound remains the industry benchmark and filmmakers' first choice for audio. IMAX offers a strong product, but they are no longer the technological leaders they once were, and they represent a minority of the PLF box office market share globally. The industry can and should coexist by working collaboratively with our true partners, the studios, and by focusing on what matters most, delivering the very best experience for our customers. The industry should never try to convince audiences that there is only one way to enjoy a great film. Mate, that is savage. But also very, very true. There's nothing in there that I disagree with. That is savage, though. Brutal. And also brutal that IMAX thought that they could kind of strong-arm theatres into doing what they want. The take-home from this, every video has to have a take, doesn't it? The take on this is this industry is going to die unless they all realise that there's a symbiotic relationship together. Studios have been releasing trash. Theatres have been struggling and closing as a result of that. Netflix has its place. IMAX has its place. But trying to force the market to do certain things will ultimately end up in disaster. You know, when the eating's good, everyone should eat. When the eating's not very good, you've got to try and spread it around a little bit, I guess. Anyway, that being said, I'm done with this. Leave your thoughts down below. Bye-bye now.